Alright, hey everybody, we're back for round 3. I don't know if this has happened yet, but I've actually won the die roll, and I get to choose if I want to play first. I definitely want to play first. And I think I'll play with this hand. There's a few too many lands, but I do have a turn 3 Belligerent Sliver and a turn 4 Scrapyard Mongrel. So I will keep that. Our opponent here is deciding whether or not to mulligan to 6. Or perhaps our opponent has taken a bit of a break, so I'm going to pause recording here for a second, and we'll be back when he... Okay, our opponent's back. He has said, hey, GLHF. So, I will GLHF. Mountain, and go ahead. And he says mountain, go ahead. Swamp, and I top deck a turn 2. Child Knight, and pass. So he is also red-black. He is probably the better red-black. Forged Devil is going to drop my Child of Night quite handily. So I will drop a Belligerent Sliver. That's going to block his Forged Devil, and if he doesn't play a second creature, it can start getting in for some damage. He drops a Torch Fiend. So he's definitely not going to attack here. I could attack... He is going to attack here? So he definitely has a Crowd's Favor. That's a very telegraphed move. He has a Crowd's Favor. He could have convoked his Torch Fiend for 1 to give this +1/+0, and I think first strike possibly, which would have been a bit of a blowout. So is Crowd's Favor first strike? That's a good question. Yes, Crowd's Favor is indeed first strike. Of course, he cannot block my Belligerent Sliver because he doesn't have any creatures. He's stuck on lands. He did not draw a third land. So maybe I just want to be as aggressive as he's being. Get in for 2, drop my Scrapyard Mongrel, and say go. So that's pretty important to remember. He absolutely must have a Crowd's Favor unless he just completely bluffed me there. So he's putting on an Inferno Fist, which he could immediately use if he wanted to kill my Sliver. But he's not. He's instead just going to get in for 3. I'm not going to block and be blown out by a Crowd's Favor. So with that Crowd's Favor, I know that if I attack with the Mongrel, he could use the Torch Fiend with the Crowd's Favor and kill it. So I'm instead just going to attack in with the Sliver. He could kill the Sliver here with the Inferno Fist. Depends on how aggressive he wants to be. No, he's just going to take it. Or is he going to take it? Yes, he does. He just takes the 2. I will bring out my Slyblade, which I need to be careful about. I need to remember that when I activate it, it loses hexproof, which makes it a prime Inferno Fist target. Unfortunately, Torch Fiend's a pretty good card against us with all the artifacts that we're playing. So he's going to swing in with that Torch Fiend yet again. I'm not going to get blown out by it yet again. At some point I'm going to need to draw that Crowd's Favor out of his hand. But currently that's not what I want to be doing. So I hit a Bronze Sable. Not terribly great. We're going to put it down. And maybe I can even use this to pull the Crowd's Favor out. So I can't attack in with the Belligerent Sliver now. My Zathrid's Slyblade would get first strike as well, but it would get hit with that Inferno Fist pretty quick. So I think I'm just going to pass the turn here. Unfortunately, I'm almost completely out of gas, and he has almost an entire hand, so not great. He's still stuck on 3 mana. So if he stays there, maybe we can somehow squeak out a win yet again. So is he going to swing in? He's going to swing in with his Borderland Marauder, which becomes a 3/2. So kind of an interesting choice here. If I block with the Bronze Sable, they could just trade, or it could draw out the crowd's favor. I'm thinking he's trying to make me block with the Scrapyard Mongrel. So maybe I actually want to block with the Sliver, because if I block with the Sable and it dies, the Mongrel would lose his +2/+0 and trample. Which isn't terribly relevant at the moment, but it is what it is. So down comes a Goblin Rough Rider. So this is kind of the opposite to last game. I'm seeing a lot of low toughness creatures. A Fester Gloom would actually be just fantastic right about now. So I'm just going to pass the turn right back. His crowd's favor could kill my Mongrel with anything that he has. He can trade his Torch Fiend for my Bronze Sable, since it's an artifact. So that's something else to keep in mind. Ooh, a red Paragon. That's gonna kind of hurt. It also puts everything he has out of Fester Gloom reach. So what's he gonna come in with here? So he has Crowd's Favor still active, but I wouldn't mind getting it out of play, out of his hand. Hopefully he only has the one. Nope, he just passes the turn back. And I draw a Thundering Giant. That's an interesting play. I could play it and attack with it. He may trade, possibly the Torch Fiend for it. Or it might get the Crowd's Favor out. And I think I'm okay with either one. I really want to try to get his board presence down a little bit. He may just be willing to take the 4 here. No, he is just going to trade with the Torch Fiend. And pass the turn back to me. Or, sorry, back to him. So that Paragon is definitely kind of a pain. So he's coming in with the Forge... Oh, no, he's not coming in with the Forge Devil. He's coming in with the Rough Rider, which I could only trade with using the Mongrel. And he would Crowd's Favor and kill it. So I think I'll just take the 4 here and go to 9. I would really ideally like to find a Shrapnel Blast, I suppose. Ooh, that's actually pretty decent. The Meteorite I can pull out, and I can use to kill his Paragon, which will drop everything else that he has down by 1. So his Paragon's going to go down. Drops everything back down to a slightly more manageable range. I'll keep this land back, because I don't want to activate that Slyblade and make it an Inferno Fist target. So I think I'll just ship the turn back to him. Of course, I'm going to feel really stupid if he doesn't actually have a Crowd's Favor. He's had a couple chances to use it. So I think Fester Gloom is definitely a good play, or a good keep in my main for this matchup. There's a lot of things that has 1 toughness. There's a number of things that also have 2. Okay, so let's try to force out that Crowd's Favor if possible. So I will block with the Bronze Sable here, meaning that he has to use either the Inferno Fist or the Crowd's Favor right now to not have that die and lose the Inferno Fist. So maybe he will just use the Inferno Fist to kill it. That way it doesn't show me... Oh, he Inferno Fisted me, taking me to 4. Interesting. Interesting. So he's hoping to just force through some damage here. Now would be a good time for a Rotfeaster Maggot. Crippling Blight, not terribly useful. I could make his Rough Rider a 2/1, or his Scrapyard Mongrel a 3/3. I think I'll choose to make the Mongrel a 2/2. and then I'll pass the turn. So if he crowds favors, he can kill my mongrel. Oh, what's this? Ah, that's what he was doing. He was getting me into Covenant of Blood range. Yeah, I wasn't drawing anything great. So yeah, I don't think I have any sideboards still. Nothing has suddenly appeared in my sideboard. Everything is still relatively terrible. No Tormod's Crypts targets. I don't want to be pulling in a staff, because staffs are actually surprisingly bad when you're playing. Well, they're always surprisingly bad, but it's even more surprisingly bad when you're playing 8 artifacts and nothing is really going to trigger. So I think we will just jump right back in. I think essentially I need to get a quick start. So, is this a quick start? Not terribly. It's kind of the same start with more stuff. I've got the Belligerent Sliver, the Scrapyard Mongrel. I have an artifact to get him on right away. I've got a Sign in Blood to get some more cards, so I will keep this. So he mulligans to 6, which is a nice sign. Maybe that'll slow him down slightly. So I'll go with a Mountain, pass the turn. He goes with a Mountain, passes the turn. Swamp, I don't get my Child of the Night top deck, unfortunately. He pulls out a Sacred Armory for his turn 2. So I can either pull out the Brawler's Plate to make him a 5/3 on turn 4, or I can pull out a Belligerent Sliver to try to get some damage in early, and I think that's going to be what I do. He mulled to 6. His turn 2 play was an artifact, so I'm hoping maybe he's going a little bit slow here. So down comes a Rough Rider. So I will attack in for 2. Try to race him a little bit here. I'll grab a Scrapyard Mongrel, which next turn can become a 5/3. So he's got a Borderland Marauder. Not great on the defense, but great on the offense. He's probably going to attack in here, offering up a trade with the Scrapyard Mongrel, which I'm not going to take. He's going to keep it back. Perhaps he's thinking maybe there's going to be an artifact coming, which, of course, there certainly is. That artifact, however, is Meteorite, which is going to straight up kill his Rough Rider. So my Mongrel is now a 5/3. If he has Crowd's Favor, my Mongrel is going to... No, my Mongrel will still live. So I'm going to get in for 7 here, taking him to 11. Next turn, I can Sign in Blood to get some more cards back into my hand. 7 mana. So no, I couldn't play and equip Brawler's Plate, which would be pretty good on the Mongrel. He's going to just swing in for 3 with his Borderland Marauder. He has 3 cards left in his hand. Hopefully something good for him. Krenko's Enforcer. Not necessarily that good for him, unfortunately. So I hit another Belligerent Sliver. So I think I could actually attach the Brawler's Plate, couldn't I? I could pay 3 with the Meteorite and 4 to attach it, making the Mongrel a 7/5 with Trample, double Trample in fact. So that would be 9 that I'd be attacking in for, and even if he'd blocked, he'd still take 7. So I think that might be what I do. I'd just be really aggressive here. So I swing in for 9. And he just takes it. He must have something good, or he's just very unhappy at the moment. So let's see. He can't attack with anything unless he casts something to double block my Sliver. I have another Sliver coming up, meaning he'd have to have 4 creatures on board to live. Of course, what I just realized, and I should have thought about sooner, is I can just Sign in Blood him next turn and he will die. So that's pretty good. If he doesn't gain life somehow, he loses. I know he has Covenant of Blood, and he could cast it. He would have to hit me or the Sliver, and I would still be able to get in for some trample damage. I would still be able to get in for enough trample damage to win. So he's going to, or no, sorry, no, not to win, because he would gain 4 life. And there's the Covenant of Blood, as I expected, on the Sliver. He goes back to 6. So I attack in, and he will take 5, going to 1, and I can still Sign of Blood him. So I will swing in. I don't think he could have anything. He could only have a Crowd Saver, so he is going to block there. He is going to go to 1, and I am going to Sign of Blood him. And that's the game. Pretty good game there. I had my fastish starting hand, and he stumbled a little bit. He mulled to 6, which might have hurt him possibly. He did seem to hit his lands, though. Possibly he just didn't hit his creatures. So again, no changes to the deck. I'm just going to jump right back in. I'd really like to see Juggernaut more than I have been seeing it. Alright, life totals are back to 20. We are ready to go. I don't have my turn 3 play. Or sorry, my turn 2 play. No, my turn 3 play, my Belligerent Sliver. I completely blanked there for a second. So I've got a Tyrant's Machine for turn 2. That's pretty darn slow against him. But it does make for a turn 4 5/3 Mongrel. If I hit my 4th land, of course. It's not a great hand, but I will keep it. He didn't mulligan, so I don't have that advantage, unfortunately. So he is playing first, down comes his mountain and he passes, down comes my swamp and I pass. I get a Sly Blade, so I do get a turn 3 play here. So down comes a Torch Fiend. Maybe he will want to destroy my Tyrant's Machine for some reason, but I doubt it. So down comes that. I have not hit my 4th land, unfortunately, to get my Juggernaut or my Mongrel out. I would really prefer to get that. So he swings in for 2, he plays his 3rd land, and down comes a Marauder. So he's being a bit speedy here. Well, I could bring out the Sly Blade, or I could kill his Torch Fiend. I think I'll bring out the Sly Blade. Depending on what he plays, or if he hits a land, I may be okay trading this with the Marauder. I know that he could have Crowd's Favor, but I'd also be okay getting that out of his hand right now. I really need to hit a land next turn. Hitting a land would let me do Mongrel or Juggernaut, which would then turn on the Golem with Convoke. So we'll see what happens here. He's just going straight into combat. Am I willing to trade here? I think I am. Oops, don't want to do that. Yeah, I think I'm willing to trade here. If he has Crowd's Favor, he has it. And he doesn't. So I just take the 2. He has his 4th land, and he passes the turn. Interesting. Unfortunately, I don't hit my 4th land. That's kind of hurting. So I could bring out a Brawler's Plate, which does nothing, or I could just kill his Torch Fiend, which maybe that's going to be the best. I'm not sure why he would have... So he is going to kill my Tyrant's Machine just to get some value out of it. And I'm okay with that. I don't really want this game to go as long as it needs to go for Tyrant Machine to do something. He just passes the turn again. Maybe he's really stuck on lands. If he has a Flesh to Dust, this Juggernaut is going to get blown right up. Yeah, I expected that much. Oh, Stoke the Flames, not Flesh to Dust. That's just as good. So that's what he was holding back for, and I'm okay with that. I have 4 lands, so my Mongrel can come out next. If I hit a land, the Maggot can come out, and I could get 3 life back. And my opponent is complaining about the Shuffler. Common complaint. People always think the Shuffler isn't random, but trust me, it's random. Sometimes you will end up with bad draws. So he must be stuck on lands. So yeah, the maggot could come out, and I could gain 3 life and start hitting him for 3, or the mongrel can come out and I can start hitting him for 5 next turn. And I think I'm okay with the mongrel coming out instead. Yeah, let's bring out the mongrel. So next turn I can bring out the Brawler's Plate, which will turn him into a 5/3, or if I hit a land, I can bring out the Willforged Golem, which will turn him into a 5/3 and have a 4/4 on the battlefield. So I do hit that land, so I am going to bring this golem out, turning my mongrel into a 5/3. I'm going to attack with the 5/3. He's F6'd because he's not waiting at all. So 5 is just going to come right through, taking him to 5. So he's going to put down something pretty big here, it seems. Covenant of Blood. He's just going to kill my mongrel, get 4 life back, go back to 19. So I hit another land. 1, 2, 3. So I can just put Brawler's Plate on the Willforged Golem and just start bashing in for 6. Putting him on just barely a 4-turn clock, assuming that he draws nothing, but at some point he has to stop drawing lands and actually draw blockers. It doesn't look like he drew anything based on his complaints in the chat there. So I'm just going to swing it for 6, take him down to 7. I will Rotfeaster Maggot. Let's not tap all of my black. I will Rotfeaster Maggot my... It doesn't really matter which one. My Juggernaut, I suppose. Gain 3 life back. So now I have him on a single turn clock. If he doesn't play a blocker, he loses. Why won't that close? There we go. Depending on what he plays, my Golem can try to trample through a little bit. Ooh, that's a surprisingly useful Blast Firebolt. So it's not going to... Or no, it will kill because the +2 would go away. So he kills both my Brawler's Plate and my Golem, meaning that he's back on a slower clock. I'm going to get in for 3 here and play a Child of Night. He's going to play his own Scrapyard Mongrel. So I think, yeah, I have the win here. I can attack with both. He has no cards in hand, which is why I know I have the win here. So attacking with both, he will block that, going to there, going to 1, and I will Meteorite him for 2. And that's the game. So there we go. There's a wacky draft of How Now Brown Cow. Surprisingly, I did better than my first outing for this channel. So thanks for watching. As always, if you have any comments or suggestions, definitely let me know. You can find me on Twitter as well, at the Leek, and definitely subscribe if you like what you see and like the videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll be back soon.